Yeah, it gets late so early, it gets dark. I don't know how you watch sports.
Just fall asleep.
Realistically, you just don't watch any. You're my dad who just every time, whenever I'm home, and if it's Sunday night football or Thursday night football, and I'm in the kitchen, I look down in the basement. He's just in this chair, just knocked out. He has actually, and he's the only person to date that I've seen do this. He has fallen asleep while speaking to me in his chair. I went downstairs in high school, asked him a question, and he started to talk, and then just out cold. I was like, what?
That's incredible. Yeah. That's awesome. That's the goal. For sure. Yeah.
This wire. I got stuff all over the place here.
I love that East Coast time, man. I would like most of the time would never even see the sun for like the entire winter. It's great.
Yeah,
love it.
Who needs the sun?
It matches my insides. It's dark and cold.
God dang it, dude. I had a thought there. Oh, no, I was gonna say, like, we were making dinner, and so in Salt Lake, I'm used to it being, 6:00, we're cooking dinner. And I can turn Thursday Night Football on because it comes on at 6:00 there. And I was like, I got 2 hours. Thursday Night Football starts 30 minutes before I go to bed. So less football watching for James.
Didn't consider that with the move, huh?
No, Kelsey is not perturbed by this. She could care less. She's a big fan.
Eastern time is just terrible for primetime sports.
Mm-hmm. The worst is when you're a kid growing up in high school, and all of the big games happen on Sunday night. And it's like, I got to wake up and go to school tomorrow. Why don't you start this at a reasonable hour? Or you always had the teachers that wanted to prove a point. It was always the teachers that they were clearly never athletes and still held a grudge from the time that they weren't an athlete. And so they would always take it out on everybody and be like, sports are dumb. Test on Monday. And it's like, you're killing me. Like, the Super Bowl's tonight. I'm not gonna study for that thing. Just try to force it down your throat. You have to choose. You better study for this history test tomorrow and not watch the Super Bowl.
I choose your dad's technique because I just fall asleep at my desk. It's Monday. I'm taking a siesta. It's 8:00 in the morning.
There was a kid at our school that fell asleep in a class. This was phenomenal, and the teacher got out a roll of duct tape, and so he fell asleep, like both hands on the desk, head like between the hands, just kind of like laying down like this. And so the teacher like goes over duct tape. He goes underneath the desk and over the top of like the heads and hand, and then wraps it around a few times. So the kid finally wakes up. He just can't move. He's totally taped down.
Amazing.
I like, that's fantastic.
He had to really be out because when you unravel duct tape, it's very loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be like an innate response to wake up to that sound. You're not supposed to sleep through that. That's not good.
Not at all. Not at all. Okay. So let's dive in. We are going to just debrief the training camp we had in Erlanger, Kentucky at PeakFast Fitness and Sports Training. Ryan, thank you so much for hosting, dude. Gym is amazing. It's beautiful. We've done such a good job with it.
My pleasure.
But a short one today. We're just going to keep it quick, actionable, and talk about our biggest takeaways from the weekend, things that hopefully listeners will find useful and helpful, and also hopefully make you outrageously jealous that you weren't there so that you will come to the next one. My first takeaway, and perhaps the most important, is, do you even lift? So I had forgotten about Bro Science, and I am saddened to admit that. I forgot that this YouTube channel existed. And our night one, we start talking about this, and we break out the Do You Even Lift video, which is probably from like 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
And my life is now better with that back in it. That's my top takeaway.
It's a required watch.
And the fact that our weekend wrapped with some random kid stopping us at Chipotle and coming up to Meat Daddy, going like, do you even lift?
I missed it.
I can't believe you missed that. You missed the kid with the mullet lat spreading me at the axe throwing event. And then that kid at Chipotle trolling me.
I mean, I guess the South just goes hard in the paint, man. I mean, we came at you.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's like that's the biggest takeaway that I took is just like I'm just not that intimidating to other people. Like, I mean, between the kids with the mullets and the Chipotle kids, and then your children calling me Mr. Wilson the whole weekend. Well, first of all, they didn't address me for like 2 days, and then when they finally did, they called me Mr. Wilson. So I guess I got to step up my game. I mean, I clearly don't lift. This whole time I thought I did.
Dude, the kid at Chipotle was funny, but the kids at the axe throwing were way more hilarious.
That was amazing because I was like, this is great. Like inside jokes on a podcast are perfect for everybody. So like I was just hoping so badly that I would be able to have some interaction with these kids because they were just incredible. I mean, is that like North Kentucky's finest there? Is that like that?
We need to like pause here.
I think it's what most people think of when they think of Kentucky.
Yeah.
If you could just
they were incredible.
The most redneck looking high school kid that you can find, like full blown mullet, nasty tank top, just through and through crushing the redneck game. That's probably an apt description of what these kids were. And it was amazing. I loved it.
I mean, when I saw that kid bicep curling his helmet for the go-kart racing, I was like, I got to figure out how to talk to this kid. And he came right to me. It was great.
Yeah, and I love that he just threw a lat spread on you just.
So I didn't ask for it. That's what I got. So
I mean, let's be real. A lat spread is not just any pose. I mean,
yeah, I mean, that's like, I mean, first of all, it's like my only pose, but it's like if you come at somebody with a lat spread, like you're in the game. Like this kid was in it. He knew enough. It's like it wasn't a bicep shot. That's standard. No. I mean, a lat spread is like, okay, this kid's doing some homework and also probably not doing a lot of homework.
Yeah.
based off a look at him.
He was probably about 160 pounds soaking wet.
He looked pretty good for 12 or 24, whatever he was. I don't know.
All right. So outside of the multiple acquaintances in which Ryan was asked, do you even bench? How much do you bitch? Do you even lift? And then just random strangers throwing lat spreads at him. Do you lift in a park? Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Do you even lift? I will say my serious takeaway is how valuable it is to get hands-on in-person coaching. I think that the people in our community, our clients, our athletes, that's why we put these training camps on for a number of other reasons, right? Like we want to get together in person, not be awkward internet friends, be actual in-person human friends, share these experiences, turn on some music, lift, have fun, throw down. But a large part of it is just being able to come together and get hands-on in-person coaching because we're being honest, almost all of us train by ourselves, right? We just do. And I think that we forget just how valuable it is to have somebody there watching you, coaching you, cueing you, poking, prodding, moving. Like we had what I would consider to be pretty advanced trainees and lifters at the camp, like people that have been doing this for 8+ years. And it was still every single movement you could tell that they were so into the fact, like, bro, I haven't been coached in so long. I just kind of do it. And like we're saying this and they're not far off, right? Like they're really good, but those small tweaks and changes, you could see those light bulbs go off in their head. Like, oh shit, like this is what I've been needing. I've been missing this thing. And now this feels way better. This is much better contraction. Or, you know, I think a good example was Meet Daddy when you were, we gotta figure out a naming system here.
Well, I think RP and Ryan or MD and RD would work, but that might get confusing. People might think that we're doctors or something.
That's true.
RP, yeah, RP and MD. I don't know. You can just call me Ryan, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go Brian. That's fine.
But no, I was going to say,
or Mr. Wilson,
or Mr. Wilson. Like a good example of that is, there are just so many good examples, but one that really stands out, Ryan, is when you had a really good breakout there with Tyler and you really hammer squat bench dead with him. Because
Mhm.
I can tell you from talking to him the next day, he was like, it's never felt that way before. It's never felt that good before. Like the contractions were on point, the movement was on point. Like I actually felt hamstrings, I actually felt my ass, I actually felt abs, I actually felt quads, I didn't feel back. Right. I don't know if you guys felt the same way, but I just, especially the group we had, I just felt like they were so into it because they were just so hungry to have that because they never get it.
I'll let RP go first. You
Oh,
want to say
okay.
that?
I mean, that's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, a lot of us, I think, like to your point, we do train alone, and I think at least inside the rebel community, it's kind of we train together alone. So everyone is out there doing stuff, and I like to think that we're pretty mindful coaches. We're not just throwing everything but the kitchen sink in our programs. So the movements we did in the gym were not flashy. They were not anything you don't see a lot of. They were very, very basic movements, but the intention behind the way that we coached it, between their focus in terms of what they were trying to get, was just, it was exceptional. And it's a good reminder. I mean, to just get that objective eye, to just go back through to some of the basic stuffs. And it's kind of what I tell a lot of my athletes, like the great ones just do the common things uncommonly well. And it's probably been a long time, and I speak for myself on this, that I've really had somebody go through that with a fine-tooth comb and give me that objective eye. Because even though I know and I may coach somebody else, I'm still prone to a lot of the same pitfalls that I think people fall into. Right? It's like knowing it is not enough to prevent me from having the same issues. And I think the coaches that we had were very receptive. I know, James, you and I collaborated. We got Chris Rhodes into a much better position, and there was even a little roadblock that I was having. And you said a couple things that really just reminded me. So you almost get this, like, I don't want to say groupthink where we're thinking of the same exact stuff, but we almost have this pool of shared knowledge, because the guys that were with us attending, they're very intelligent coaches themselves, and there's so many things that we've forgotten over the years, that you said a few things that just kind of kicked off this cascade where my brain like went and pulled these old files, and I was able to kind of pull a lot of that out. So it just, you kind of forget along the way some of the stuff that you have learned in the past. So it's just infinitely valuable, I think, having the right kind of people together who can really collaborate on this stuff and just help everybody elevate their game, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of what I was getting at before. Is like I think a lot of times, like we're people just in general are seeking new information, right? And a lot of times it's not that we really need new information. We just need to get better at using what we have. And these type of environments are just incredible for doing that, because we all do have a similar background but different experiences that can just pull out some different stuff within our knowledge base. It's like it already makes sense. We have the foundation. That was one of the main things for me was a couple of takeaways was just like, one, the humility that we have in this group is just incredible. Like that we have these coaches that know a ton and know more than any of us in certain realms, and we're all trying to be as good as we can at our craft, and they're willing to be coached by somebody else. And I think that actually, like, it's not rare for us because we're used to seeing that in these types of groups, but it's probably rare in the industry as a whole, and probably just in society as a whole. Like no one really likes to be vulnerable in general. So it's cool to see these people, like this is their profession, but they still want to get a different set of eyes on things. So that was a big one for me. It's just like I really appreciate that humility involved in this group, or that we have in this group. And also just the other thing was just how important those fundamentals are in getting to the next step, and that everyone in this group at least had a nice foundation of a lot of the things that we were talking about, which makes it a lot easier to go to that next step of, like, they already have the context. For example, with Tyler, like he's already done a lot of these types of drills, so it all made sense to him. The cueing that I was giving was very, very slight. He just may not have had that with those particular exercises before, but it made sense to him because he's been there before. So that was another big thing for me, is just like, just really spend as much time as you need on the foundation, and on make sure that you understand how to do that, because it does build into to bigger things in the end.
Yeah, that was another thing that I thought about a lot after the weekend, was just how far you can get by being exceptional at the basics, because you got to think about what did we really go over? Like the big things we coached squat, bench, dead, super foundational. We coached a one arm row, a chest supported one arm lat pull down. What are the other big things we hit?
Cable fly.
Hit the cable fly. We hit a couple of like jumping,
low cable split squat,
agility thing. We really coached up split squats. That was a really good one that we hammered. And then we have a handful of other movements we hit as well. But like we weren't hitting all of these like crazy fancy exercises. We just figured out, well, how do we do the basics better? Right? Because there's still even like the advanced people that were there, they still have a lot of room to grow within those exercises and those movements and those protocols. Right? That was something I just kept coming back to is, it's like, it doesn't have to be complicated. We don't need these fancy exercises with like my foot up here, my other foot here, and like I got a band over here and I got a dumbbell over here. And like, maybe we just need to figure out how to better execute these core foundational, like if we think about it, when we write programs, I probably don't go that far outside of like a core, 40 to 50 exercises? Probably. Like I'd have to go look. I don't know. That's just off the top of my head. Like I have like probably like a core 40 to 50 exercises that we kind of rotate through and cycle. And then we can change how I load it. We can change the tempo on it. I can change sets. I can change reps. But like we have these core patterns. And I think we just have to continue to help people get better at these things, as opposed to worrying about getting new flashy things that probably aren't contributing or helping. They're just more confusing than anything else, I would imagine. Yeah, I don't know if you guys felt.
I'll break it. No, I think that's kind of like what I was getting at with the context thing is like it's probably in there. There's just other ways to pull it out that we may not have tried just yet. So, I mean, if you just like you mentioned, like you just mentioned like 5 different variables that you could change within one exercise, right? So, and that's not even to mention like just the cueing or the setup so there's like, I mean, how many things can we like really do that we're going to actually do in the gym that we're going to either load or try to actually build some fitness on? It's like, it can just get kind of sketchy. And I think that it's sometimes people are looking for that. Like they want it's got to be this exercise or something. But when you approach it that way, they're kind of still left in the dark in a lot of ways, where if that one exercise stops working for whatever reason, they have no idea how they even got there. It's just like this random ass thing. Like that's like that worked for a little while. Anything that you do for a little while is bound to stop working as well at some point. And if your primary intervention is just picking different exercises, it's like not only do you have a learning curve with each one of those, but there's like no foundation on that. So I think that's a really big thing for me. It just kind of solidifies a lot of the stuff that we're doing. That was also really nice, like that we could all be on the floor at the same time. And it's like we're all kind of giving the same cues, but maybe just in a different way. And it may just click for something, like something that I say may not register at all, but James or RP goes over there and it's like, oh, they're getting exactly what I was trying to get them to do. But it's all coming from the same or similar lens. It's the principles are there. And I think that's like a big thing. It's like that you got to have the principles, and the methods are kind of not all that important at some point. I may have mixed those two up. I think that's right though, right?
It's close enough.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of not a lost art, but it's, 5-10 years ago, this was the nature of the industry. We got together at seminars and you would have a hands-on day. We would go through a lot of this. Now, some of them were huge and you just kind of move around in groups, but there were conferences where you really got into these breakout sessions and you got this hands-off stuff or hands-on stuff. But, I don't know that the internets and the Instagrams and just the soundbite culture that we get can really transfer that to the execution that somebody's doing and what they're feeling throughout that exercise. And sometimes just slowing it down a little bit and really getting the feedback throughout that movement, whether it's a variety of cues or just some minor positional changes that help you execute, it's going to be infinitely more valuable. And James, to your point, I mean, the longer I do this, the smaller the pool of potential exercises gets for me, because there's very few things that work very, very well. And I don't know that the novelty of switching exercises around is really going to translate to the kind of changes that I need long term. I mean, guys continue to adapt to a back squat for years on end by changing the physiologic demand on rep ranges and volume in those parameters, rather than just having this mixed bag of things. So, for the beginner trainer, it's, I think you learn a few things. It's that intermediate stage where there's this confused complexity, but if you can bring it back to that, and we kind of talked about this at one point, just the elegance of getting simple again, but just understanding it. And I think really appreciating a lot of that nuance that can really deliver the results at a level that you haven't done before. And we see this in a number of things. Like, you guys know that, I started taking jujitsu. Well, I can tell you the higher belts do things better that are just super simple. And I think when it comes to exercise selection and getting that view, it kind of brings you back to this of, oh, these things are really good. I just haven't done them with this kind of focus, or, done them in this manner.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like those are my two biggest takeaways from the weekend, and they're very tightly related. It's, how powerful the basics are, but that's tightly related with your ability to execute the basics at a very high level. Right? It's like, I think you can continue to improve like your one arm horizontal row or a chest supported one arm lat pull down, your squat, your bench, your deadlift, lunge and split squat variations, hamstring curl. Like, there's always room within these basic movements that are probably going to be the things that get us our biggest return on investment. Right? I mean, I think a good example of this at the camp was when we had someone struggling with split squats. Like, hey, I'm having a hard time feeling this. This feels off. Right? And we make a small tweak to the movement. It's, hey, we're going to load it here instead of here, and we're going to hold on to a cable at this arm. And it's like, bam, that made all the difference in the world. Now we've got a really, really, really good split squat going on. And now we can get to work. Right? But it's like those small details are what make the big difference for people. And we do the best job we can trying to obviously coach and cue and manage all these things remotely. I think we do a really good job of them. But at the end of the day, there's always going to be a gap, and we're never going to be able to fully replicate that in-person, coaching experience, which is what we're trying to do with the training camps. Take our remote team, all of our remote athletes, bring them together in person so we can actually have these experiences 3 to 4 times a year. So when you go back to train by yourself again, like, you're dialed in. You had that experience. We're off and running. Right? That's kind of where my head was at with this.
Yeah, I think that's it's a beautiful model, because I think that people ultimately still get a chance to learn on their own as well. You're going to give them some input at the camp. You can take a video of it for them. They can go home and study that, and they can go try to replicate it. If they have any problems, then we have a little bit more context to work off of when they send you a video back and it's not quite what it was. So it really does. It just accelerates the process, and it just makes it just so targeted at that. I just think it's hard to replace that, but I think you still get the best of both worlds, and that they are going to have to go back and have to relearn it. And again, like, they'll hopefully understand the principles better, and they'll be able to figure things out themselves. And that really is how learning takes place. So I think it's a perfect blend if you can make it work. Like, it's my favorite way to work with people, is to have this kind of hybrid model. I think it's perfect.
Yeah, I agree.
Nice.
Okay.
Any closing thoughts for the people this week? Other than they all should go watch the Do You Even Lift video and work their way. You'll work your way through the flow chart. Because the answer is going to be no.
You don't. I will leave one thing, and I think that everyone just needs to bring some intention back to training by putting cell phones down and focusing on what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I can talk about that all day. Yeah, for real, dude. Holy shit. Yeah. I mean, yeah, mostly because I want them to get off the equipment that I want to use, but also,
Well, that makes me so mad. I'm sitting here waiting for like a piece of, because in a gym, like if it has machines, there's probably one of those machines. And I'm sitting there and some dude's just like, man, just like texting away, looking at Instagram. It's like, yo, hurry the fuck up. It was also funny. It made me think of this because I went to the gym for the first time here in Knoxville yesterday, and this kid shows up clearly training for powerlifting. So he like goes over, immediately grabs a rack, and just like brings a chair with him.
Yeah.
And so it's just like he just puts the chair like right, kind of like just right off in front of the rack in a not very wide walkway, right? He's kind of sitting in the walkway. He's like hits a set of 3 and then just sits down. And he breaks out, he gets out his phone. I'm like, oh.
That's crazy. So this kid must have a pretty long commute because he's at my gym every week as well. That's pretty wild. I had to ask him what he does. God, yeah, no, that's a huge one. Like, yeah, I mean, it sounds like, I mean, we are being sarcastic in a sense, but I do think that there's so few moments in life generally, like right now, especially where it's like, how often are you just doing one thing? Like, you're never just doing one thing. And like training can be a really great tool for that. Just like, you're just going to focus on this thing. Don't try to distract yourself from it. Fucking eat it. It's going to hurt and it's going to suck. And, like there's, I don't know, man. I think there's so much to be gained for that. I think that you see a lot of that if you look at this, kind of getting somewhat off topic here, but if you look at like the something like the RPE kind of research, where you have these people that hit like 16 reps more than what they perceive to be their 10 rep max. I think a lot of it has to do with that. Just like they just don't actually pay attention when they train. They're literally on a different planet, and they're just there's no intention with anything. So no, I think that's a huge one. I love it. I'll just piggyback on that one.
Yeah, team. Like if you do use your phone for training, like our people do with Train Heroic or maybe in Google Sheets, whatever it is, use Do Not Disturb, like a hard Do Not Disturb. Like I have 3 people that can get through my Do Not Disturb, and you can't double call it either because that's turned off. So 3 people can get through my Do Not Disturb, and so when it's time to train, like nothing is going to get to me. Granted, my phone stays like that all day, so it's like
same.
If I don't want you to get in touch with me, then you probably have no way of actually getting in touch with me. But yeah, I think the hard Do Not Disturb is something that every single person needs to implement, because your phone is just a giant, massive distraction machine that's going to send you in 17 different directions. And there's always going to be people that think that like they're going to try to prioritize whatever they think your priority should be for you. It's like, hey, respond to my text. Hey, respond to my email. Hey, did you see this social media notification? It's all noise. None of it really fucking matters. Like, it's just people my trying to prioritize for you. Dude, we were on a walk today and some older gentleman drove past us. He was like trying to find some place. He was like, yeah, I can't figure it out. I got this old flip phone and it doesn't get any maps on it. I'm like, bro, I'm actually jealous of you. I'm thinking of going back to a flip phone.
No doubt.
Yeah, it's you just have to know how to manage it. Like it's here. So I think those are really good. Those are really good tools. One thing I'll say too, like, I just this is gonna be a podcast about phones now. So we're not gonna get that sponsor from Apple. But
Apple and Verizon.
I just, for the longest time, I used an MP3 player. Like if you guys have heard of those, it's like one step up from the Discman. But it's just like a little clip-in MP3 player. But like the thing that I love about that is just like I can only fit so much music on it, so there's no choice. It's just like it's the playlist. Like the playlist is just gonna go. There's like 8 albums on there, and I'll just keep listening to them until like I'm not listening to them anymore. And I had to like break down and get some wireless headphones, and So what I do with that now is like I just have the same exact thing. Like I just like created a playlist on Spotify. It's not even hooked up to the internet. It doesn't need to be, and it's just on my iPad. So it's just like just eliminating needs to use your phone. Like you still use the damn phone. That's fine. Like it is very convenient, but just finding ways to like not like to just limit the amount of things that you can do on it while you're training. It just takes a little bit of discipline, but honestly, I think it goes a really, really long way. And you'll, yeah, there's like plenty of research on that, just in terms of like, dopamine and everything, and going through social media in between sets, or just attention and the amount of the focus that you have for. I don't know. I think that's a really cool one.
I think it applies to everything. Like if you care about being good at something, like if you actually want to get better in the gym, if you want to put on muscle, if you want to get stronger, if you want to make progress, if you want to be better at your job, like if you want to be like better showing up at, for the people you care about in your life and your relationships and your family, like I think this rule applies unanimously across the board to all of those things.
Yeah, totally.
Like I mean, you've got to shut it off. Like block that thing.
Yeah, those screen time reports really smack you in the face at the end of the week.
Yeah, I just started asking for those from clients as well, and I don't think they like it.
Oh God, I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say. We'll say that on off air.
Cool. That's good. Hey, well, I would also like to say thank you to, because hopefully they're listening, or maybe they're not. Maybe they got too much of us over the weekend. But for everyone that attended, let's see, I'll go through everybody: Chris, Ben, Skyland, Tyler, Ian. Did I miss anybody else? You guys, thank you. It was such an awesome time to be able to hang out with people and have great conversations, work hard. It's super motivating for me to get back in and continue to get better. And, it's just great to be around these types of people. So thank you to you guys.
Yeah.
I didn't miss anybody, right?
I don't think so.
So
sounded about right. That sounded like everybody. Us three,
yep.
Chris, Ben, Ian, Tyler, Skyland. I think that was it.
Skyland.
Yeah.
There's 8.
Yeah. Group.
Yeah. Thank you to everybody that came. Yeah, I feel very much the same way. I think I always walk away from those just feeling super energized.
Yeah.
Because they're just cool people. Right. Like I wrote an email. It's going to go out to our people. The timing on when this publishes and that email gets sent. But yeah, like I wrote an email on the flight here to Knoxville from Cincinnati, just reflecting on it, because I just love this community so much. And you mentioned earlier the fact that we just don't have egos. They're just cool fucking people that want to get better at life. They want to be stronger. They want to put on more muscle. And it's a shame because people just don't hold themselves to a high standard in society anymore. People do not hold themselves to a high standard physically, emotionally, mentally, whatever it is. Like society just has stopped doing it. And the thing I love about our community is that just not acceptable. Like we hold each other to a high standard, but it's not that egotistical thing that you get in like high school, right? It's we're going to call you in your shit because we know that you have more potential than you're realizing and you're dropping the ball. And we want to see you succeed. We want to see you be better, right? Like the training camps are a great example. Like what did Ben pull? Ben pulled what, 700? Monster. Like 700 to casual single at like 700 pounds. Right? But like that dude was like in and out of it with everybody else too. Yeah. And like that's what you want. Like you want the guy who is the alpha in the room pulling 700 pounds, who's jumping in and helping out and encouraging everybody else there, even if they're deadlifting 300, 400, 500 pounds. That's what you want. And that's what I love about the community we have is that's what we have right now. And it's hard to find. It's hard to find those types of people to surround yourself with. So yeah, thank you.
There's a really subtle point in there, James, that I just want to tag on. And it's, about having high standards. I get really like passionate about this stuff too, but there are plenty of people who have high standards in a particular domain of their life. Maybe they're really great at fitness, but they're just complete douchebags to their friends and family, or they make a lot of money, but they're in terrible health. So finding a group of people who on all levels and across all areas of their life are consciously trying to get better is rare. And I love being a part of this. I mean, I've been with Rebel since the original Silverback, and I knew right away everyone was different, and it's been different. And I feel like you've done a tremendous job cultivating this community to be what it is. So kudos to you.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think like just keep this podcast going for the next 4 hours. Like the thing that's cool about it too is there's no floor and there's no ceiling. Like it's just like wherever the hell you are, I don't care. Like it's just it's about effort, and it's about wanting to be better. And so it doesn't matter. I don't you can be in the same room as Ben. I believe it was 7:35. It's been haunting my dreams. And that's cool. Like you can be in the same room with that guy and take something from him, and he'll also take something from you if you're the type of person that's willing to get better. Like I think that we all just kind of found fitness as the thing that brings us all together. But I think it's really just our core traits that make us all able to get along and to help each other out. So I think it really doesn't matter where you're at. So I just say that because I feel like sometimes people think that they need to be at a certain standard already to be able to participate in this type of stuff. And that's not what it's about whatsoever. It's just that it's for me at least, I don't know, maybe just speaking for myself, but I think it's really just about effort and humility.
I like it. We'll wrap on that. I think that's a good ending. I don't think we can end it better than that. So folks, thank you as always for tuning in, and we'll be back next week. Yeah. Chatting about something. So
cool.
Have a good
Thanks,
rest
guys.
of your week. Talk soon, friends.